Hey, what's up, guys? Wow, I'm reading a lot of 19th century macabre literature, and this infamous book, this is as good as they say, which is a common thing you're gonna hear from me about 19th century literature. Gustave Flaubert, okay, the famous Madame Bovary, a realist, groundbreaking realist novel, which got him in trouble. Actually, he had to go to court for obscenity back then. He was also writing this over the course of the decades. Temptation of Saint Anthony is Lovecraft was a big fan of this. I don't know how to explain it. If you try to stage this or make a film of this, even by today with CGI, it would be extremely difficult. Okay, the surrealist landscapes. He goes into outer space, riding the horns of the devil. There's countless demons, monsters, strange creatures, people from other time periods, people from other parts of the world, religious figures. The Lord Buddha shows up as a guest star. Um, all centered around this third century Egyptian saint, basically resisting the devil's temptations. Uh, Now, people have said that this is an anti-Christian work. I don't really get that from this, other than showing that the universe is vast and unknowable, and there's a universalism there when he sees things. And of course, Anthony, he's a metaphysical objectivist, as Jonathan Bowden would say. He denies it all. But he's tempted when the Queen of Sheba wants to sleep with him, and he refuses, but his body wants to do it. So he's a very strong character. Of course, he's strong if he's strong with his slave morality. Okay, but I don't want to get Nietzschean about it here. I'm focusing on the work. Now, this was fascinating because I think this was intended as a drama at one point, but this would be like almost impossible to stage. George Méliès actually did a film of this, just a little part of it, The Temptation of Saint Anthony, and it's like 2 minutes or something, like the old silent films. Uh, this is amazing when you read it. So what I'm gonna do, which I probably shouldn't, okay, is I'm gonna do some dramatic readings. Aren't you lucky? Let's go. All right. Now here you have Isis, right? The fertility goddess of Egypt, who has a small child, usually representations of her. She has a baby in her arms. That seems familiar, doesn't it? Right? Hideous Typhon, the red hair slew him, tore him in pieces. We have found all his members, but I have not that which rendered me fecund. She utters wild lamentations. Of course, you know the story of Osiris, right? The only thing they couldn't find that was left of him was what she mentioned. Right? Anthony is filled with fury. He casts stones at her, reviles her. Begone, thou shameless one! Begone! Hilarion is one of his disciples who mysteriously shows up again to cause him doubt. So you know who this guy really is, right? Nay, respect her. Her religion was the faith of thy fathers. Thou didst wear her amulets when thou wert a child in the cradle. All right. I like this. This is just interesting scene. Okay, Anthony's people believed in Isis. They were Egyptians. She was the pagan goddess, the faith of her fathers, and of course, is filled with fury. He's trying to stone her. Okay, the goddess of his people. Themes of treason and loyalty intermingle here. All right. I like this here. This is a really good scene. This is really good. It's just so poetic and it's beautiful and it's descriptive. Then did we both reign above a sublimer world, twin monarchs wedded within the womb of eternity, he bearing a cocoa-headed scepter, I the scepter that is tipped with a lotus flower, both of us erect, with hands joined, and the crumblings of empires affected not our attitude. Egypt extended below us, monumental and awful, long-shaped like the corridor of a temple, with obelisks on the right, pyramids on the left, and its labyrinth in the midst. And everywhere were avenues of monsters, forests of columns, massive pylons flanking gates, summit crowned with the mysterious globe, the globe of the world, between two wings. Right? That's a common theme here. This is the theme of Christianity is ascended, and you have many deities talking about the loss of the people that worship them. And visually you get the idea of just like, almost like something out of a video game or something, but the lamentation that, the crumbling of empires, okay, the gods and goddesses, their world is disappearing to this new faith, which will, as you can see, tolerate no other. Right? Their Lord is jealous. What? Even though that was the faith of your blood, of your ancestors. It's almost like it's teaching you to betray your ancestors. But that's kind of like, I don't want to be vague here. Okay, we'll go to another scene I like here. And this is another example of that. Right? We knew these things. We knew them. There must come an end even for the gods. Uranus was mutilated by Saturn, Saturn by Jupiter, and Jupiter himself shall be annihilated, each in his own turn. It is destiny. And little by little they sink into the mountain and disappear. Meanwhile, the golden tiles of the palace rise and fly away. Right? We have Jupiter here, the Roman Zeus has descended from his throne. At his feet the thunderbolts lie smoking like burning coals about to expire. And the great eagle bends its neck to pick up its falling feathers. So everything is falling apart. Everything is degrading. Then I am no longer the master of all things, most holy, most mighty God of the Phratrias and the Greek peoples, ancestor of all the kings, Agamemnon of heaven, eagle of Apotheosis. What wind from Erebus has wafted thee to me, or fleeing from the Campus Martius, dost thou bear me the soul of the last of the emperors? I no longer desire to receive those of men. Let the earth keep them, and let them move upon the level of its baseness. Their hearts are now the hearts of slaves. They forget injuries, forget their ancestors, forget their oaths, and everywhere the folly of the crowds, the mediocrity of individuals, the hideousness of races hold sway. The Romans, the pagan Roman world is being wiped out. Forget injuries. They have the hearts of slaves, slave morality. Now, I'm really dogging Christianity here, but I'm going to have something at the end, which I think was a good counterpoint. And one by one, you see all the different gods and goddesses, Minerva, Neptune. They all slowly disappear and fade. Their time is over. Very, very beautiful, very tragic, very... Okay. Here, I'll do a little thing here. Where Death and Lust are having a little sparring match. Death. What matter it, whether now or at another time? Thou art mine, like suns, nations, cities, kings, mountain snows, and the grasses of the field. I fly higher than the hawks of heaven. I run more swiftly than the gazelle. I overtake even hope. I vanquished the Son of God. And now lust comes in. Resist not, I am the omnipotent. The forests re-echo with my sighs. The waters tremble with my agitations. Virtue, courage, piety dissolve in the perfume of my mouth. Man I accompany in every step that he makes, and even from the threshold of the tomb, he turns to me. Bitch. I will find for thee that which thou hast vainly sought for by the gleam of torches upon the faces of the dead, or among the awful sands that are formed of human remains, where thou wast wont to wander beyond the pyramids. From time to time, the fragment of a skull rolled under thy sandal. Thou didst take up the dust. Thou didst let it trickle through thy fingers, and thy thought, blending with it, sank into nothingness. And so, they keep arguing, and then they dance and they clasp each other about the waist and chant. something pretty cool here. But I want to get this, just a little more here. This, by the way, one of my favorite Lovecraft stories, In Prison with the Pharaohs, okay, was definitely influenced by this. But I want to do this before I run out of time. So now I've been kind of, being the good Nietzschean here, but I'm going to do a little counterpoint, okay? Now I think that the modern atheism and the decadence is Christianity going to its final form. But maybe I'm wrong. And I also say that, believing in something higher, which Christianity no doubt did, that's one of those time transcending powers that you have, and it's powerful. So I want to read this thing here. This is actually a very interesting, right? And this was actually found in a manuscript draft. So this is, let's see. So this is something they put in that he had written that I guess was not in the original printing. Okay. All right. So now I'm just going to read part of this, but this makes me feel the other thing. Okay. Listen, America from city. Okay. Because I've been in the city, and I'm also in the country, and I'm also everywhere in between. Okay. And I see churches everywhere from one end of the country to the other. Okay. Emblazoned with rainbows. Okay. And empty. Okay? Beautiful structures. Okay? What's left of the husk of Europe. Okay? And whatever I think of Christianity, Christianity was a part of European life. Sometimes Varg seems to discount that. I actually think Varg is actually very Protestant in his paganism, but I don't want to cause any controversy. All right. Men dressed in hideous suits of clothes, grotesquely, either thin or obese, probably obese, run as if pursued with chin lowered and gaze averted, as if they all had something to hide. Okay, this is a modern city now. Now we're out of the 3rd century and we're in today. And lo, in their midst, St. Anthony beholds Jesus. As he walks, his back has become hunched, his hair has whitened, and his cross, which he carries on one shoulder, is bent and describes an immense arc. The cross is too heavy. He calls out. No one comes to his side. He knocks at the door of houses. They remain closed. On he goes, beseeching those around him to look, to remember. No one has the time to listen. His voice is drowned out by the noise of the city. He staggers and falls to his knees. The sound of his fall brings men of all nations, from Germans to Negroes, and in the delirium of their vengeance they shout in his ear, "For thee we have spilt oceans of human blood, fashioned gags with the wood of thy cross, hidden in every hypocrisy beneath thy robe, absolved of every crime in the name of thy mercy. Moloch in thy lamb's garb, lo, thy agony has lasted too long. Die at last, and arise not." And then there are others, those that loved him, still here bearing on their cheeks the stain of their tears, say unto him, "Therefore we have prayed enough, wept enough, hoped enough. Cursed be thou for our long waiting by our own unfulfilled hearts." A king strikes him with his scepter, accusing him of having exalted the weak, and the people tear at him with their fingernails, reproaching him for having sustained the monarchies. Some bow down before him in derision. Others spit in his face, not in anger, but from habit. Merchants wish to have him sit in their shops. Pharisees claim that he is obstructing the way. Doctors who have examined his wounds claim that there is nothing miraculous there in which to believe, and philosophers add, he was nothing but a phantom. No one gives him so much as a glance. No one knows him, and so he lies in the filth, and the light from a winter sun strike his dying eyes. Life continues about him. Carts splatter him, whores brush against him. The passing idiot throws him his laughter, the assassin his crime. The drunken man his vomit, the poet his song. The multitudes trample him underfoot, grinding him asunder. And finally, when on the pavement there remains only his large heart beating ever more slowly, there is not, as on Calvary, a formidable cry heard by all, but barely a sigh, a whisper of expiring breath. The shadows close. And Anthony sees this. The horror! I saw nothing. Were it so, my God, then what would remain? This is what's happened. This actually happened. And this actually struck me emotionally too, because this is not good. This was the murder of all murders, the murderer of all murders. All right. Later.